Appreciate Danny West joining us from hogsports.com, covering all things Arkansas athletics, especially in the area of recruiting. And it's been a couple of months since we talked with Danny, so appreciate your time. Danny, what's going on? How are you?
Well, I want you guys to know I'm a huge fan of the show. I try to catch you every chance I get. My daughter doesn't always feel the same way when we're driving around. I think she struggles to realize what I'm listening to at times, but I'm a huge fan of you, Phil, and obviously the two Matts there. Big fan.
I appreciate that. How old's your daughter, Matt?
She will be 5 in October. She'll be 5.
Okay.
Oh my goodness!
And not quite into sports talk just yet.
No, she doesn't understand exactly why I'm listening to guys talk and laugh. She wants to hear Old Town Road, I believe it's called. So it's a struggle, guys. It's a struggle. But she'll get there.
I get educated on some pop culture stuff when I'm driving my daughter and son around these days. Now she's 11, and I've been introduced to Doja Cat, which actually was.
Oh, you just learned who Doja Cat is?
Just learned who Doja Cat is. Yeah, it's good when we have young kids, right, Danny? Keeps us up to date on things.
You bet.
All right, let's get up to date on Arkansas recruiting right now. Is it safe to say that they're on a little bit of a roll over the past week or so?
They have been. I would expect it to kind of pump the brakes a little bit now. Over a 2-week span, 14 days, they picked up 5 guys. That's a really good run for Arkansas, especially considering, some of the guys they got in that stretch. Lucas Coley, Rocket Sanders, the big one, A.J. Green, in my opinion, he's as good as any in the country just about. So, that was quite a run. Now, I think they've still got some work to do specifically on the defensive side, Phil. Defensive line, secondary, might want to pick up another linebacker if you can. But, the second half of the class, it should be heavy on defense. But, I've been impressed, Bud. I really have. I mean, given the circumstances, this as well as anybody, Phil, and Matt. But, Arkansas is very much a place that you've got to get kids on campus to have a shot most of the time, right? I mean, there's a perception out there for a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people still see Arkansas as kind of, it's way out in the sticks, or it's in the middle of a cow pasture, or as we call it, Starkville, Mississippi, right? A lot of people still have that idea of Arkansas, and it's obviously not the case. So it's really important to get guys on campus, and, they haven't been able to do that since early March. So to be here with 12 commitments and the quality, the caliber of players they've been able to attract so far, it's been impressive. Now you've got to worry about how you follow it up on the defensive side. Really good start on offense. Let's see some defensive linemen and safeties and corners now.
I think also as important is to make sure that the kids that have committed to you verbally, when you are allowed to bring them to campus, when they actually can come visit, that you do that, and that might cinch it. Because what I'm worried about, it's not just at Arkansas, because I think it's everywhere right now. There have been so many verbal commits in the springtime, more than usual, that there's going to be a season of decommitment. So when you have a chance to get them on campus, to me, that would be the moment that you're almost sealing the deal, not necessarily when the kid says, yes, I'll come.
We are hundreds of commitments ahead of where we were at this time last year as a nation, hundreds ahead. So I'm totally with you. I do think decommitment season is going to be entertaining. I think it's imminent. It will happen. You've got so many kids, this, guys, but kids look at each other on Twitter and they say, well, he's got a top 5. I need a top 5. You know what I mean? He's making a commitment. I better hurry up and get my spot. Mm-hmm. And with that, coupled with the lack of visits that they've not been able to take this spring, I do think it sets up for a really, really entertaining fall. Once kids are able to take campus visits again, it should be a lot of fun. It's going to be busy for me and, my fellow companions here, but you would hope that Arkansas, and by the way, 11 of their 12 commitments have been on campus before. I don't think that's any coincidence. So the only outstanding one that hasn't is Rocket Sanders from way out in Rockledge, Florida. So he might be a guy, when you look at his offer list, Florida State is not going to give up on him. So you would tend to worry about a guy like that. But Justin Stepp, Scott Fountain, they've done a really good job with Rocket. So maybe they can hold on to him.
Speaking to Danny West here on Halftime, Danny, want to go keep it with football just for a second. I want to ask you specifically about Devin Manuel, the big offensive line commit that came over the week or earlier this week. A big kid, athletic kid. Is it fair to compare him to probably a little bit more of an athletic Dan Skipper, just for the overall size and just the man that he is?
He's a really big dude. I'll agree with you on that. I actually think he's got a long way to go in terms of pass protection, to be honest with you. Now, when you're 6'8", 300, I mean, you could just line up against kids and have your way with them, right? But at this level, you guys know it as well as anybody. You've got to have pass protection in today's game, and I think it's a good thing. He's really raw, and he's got a lot of potential. But, yeah, I see the comparison there. Obviously, Coach Pittman, he loves these big guys. It kind of surprised me early on. I think it was March 7th when they offered Devin. He came to campus, and they fell in love with him. So, I think they feel really strongly about his potential, but he might be a guy, and this is completely okay, that takes 2-3 years before he's able to contribute, and you need guys like that. We've seen Mississippi State throughout the years make a killing. They've always got a really good offensive line, and when game time rolls around, you see junior, senior, redshirt, junior, redshirt, senior. I mean, they're all veteran program type guys, so there's a need for that, in my opinion.
And I think when you look at it overall, like you just mentioned with the 12 recruits coming in already, the collective effort between Pittman, Kendall Browse, and Barry Odom has been nothing but short of astounding. I mean, for a coaching staff and for players, incoming freshmen or seniors, sophomores, juniors, whatever, haven't seen much of these guys on the field and kind of what they can do. And for the recruits that they're bringing in, it's astounding for what these guys have been able to do. And I think, to me, this is good news if you're a Razorback fan moving forward into the 2021 class and looking forward.
It was the smart move by Sam Pittman. I've always thought that if you're going to come in as an unproven head coach, you better make sure your coordinators have a big name, and both of these guys do. And I'm a big fan, follower of Kendall Browse, and have been for a few years now. And take nothing away from him, I think he's a tremendous hire. But I tell people all the time, Barry Odom might be the best hire Arkansas football has made since Bobby Petrino. I really feel that way. This guy's as good as any in the country. Now, he's got an uphill battle. He's got to fill some spots, and you can only do that in recruiting, which takes time. But I think that's going to be the one that really pays off for Arkansas. I really do.
I believe right before we got you on here, we were talking about the news that came out that Alabama and Ohio State are scheduled for a home with each other in 2027 to 2028. And I'm just curious, from your standpoint, other than Texas, who would you like to see Arkansas meet up with as good Power 5 matchup?
I like West Virginia. That would be my choice. I just think it'd be a good matchup.
Other than Texas, you can't say Texas.
Fun. Yeah, West Virginia makes some sense. A lot of similarities there between the states. In my opinion, kind of a one program state in each case. Nebraska, sorry, I've got an airplane flying right over, but Nebraska might make sense. When you think about Oklahoma, guys, I mean, it's been since 1926 since Arkansas and Oklahoma played a regular season football game, and they're 2.5, 3 hours apart. That makes no sense to me. So I would like to see the Sooners. That might be my pick.
All right, I think it's been a couple of weeks since the news came from the athletic department that they can schedule Arkansas State, UCA, and one of the pushbacks from fans is a loss to ASU specifically in any sport will hurt recruiting, and I honestly just don't buy it because I think recruiting at the Sun Belt is a much different thing than recruiting to the SEC. So, in the case that Arkansas and Arkansas State were to play football, and I think they will, I think that's going to be in about 6, 7, 8 years.
I do too.
Does that hurt Arkansas recruiting any inside the state?
I don't think so. I mean, and I've really got nothing more to add than what you said. It's the difference in competition. It's the difference in conference, right? I mean, the SEC, take nothing away from the Sun Belt. And what Arkansas State has been able to do, not just recently, but dating back to Hugh Freeze, Gus Malzahn, after Coach Roberts left there. I mean, they've got a good thing going. But no, you're probably going to lose to them at some point. I know this, Arkansas, they didn't want those problems the last 2 years. They did not want to see Arkansas State. No way around it. But, Yeah, they would probably get you at some point, but I do not think it would make a huge impact in recruiting. Maybe you miss one here or there. That's going to happen. But for the most part, no, I don't see any impact on that.
All right, let's get in a quick thought here about basketball, because I know that the coaches can now have contact with players over the phone. But it's so interesting to watch Eric Musselman and his staff build this team. I mean, you have 10 players that are going to be getting time this next year that didn't play for Arkansas last year. So year by year, it's kind of difficult to figure, what are the needs? What are they going to be looking for? So what's your sense about what Muss and the staff might be looking for out of high school for the 2021 class?
Yeah, for the 2021, matter of fact, I just talked to a guy yesterday, James White. He's a shooting guard out of Conyers, Georgia, really big-time guy. He's got several SEC-type offers already. Florida, Alabama, I want to say Georgia Tech has thrown an offer at him. Arkansas hasn't yet, but they set up a Zoom meeting with him yesterday. He really enjoyed that, and he told me that he's actually going to do it again in a couple of days. They're going to schedule another Zoom, so it would really be no surprise to me if they were to offer James White. He might be an early guy to keep an eye on. I think Muss and his staff really impressed him yesterday, to be honest with you. And then, as you mentioned there, the 22s, they can contact those guys now. We're talking about sophomores here. And sitting here looking at my list, 5-star Mark Mitchell, 5-star Sky Clark, 5-star Jaden Bradley. You get the point here. There's several 4-stars involved as well. So, hey, he's swinging for the fences, Phil. I'm sure you appreciate that phrase, but I've been really impressed with this guy. He's a lot to keep up with when I compare him to, the basketball staff we covered before. Take nothing away from him. I love Coach A, but it's a different deal for us now. We're a lot busier with our basketball stuff.
Danny, you do great work. We're big fans of it. Appreciate you coming on, and also for listening,
Thank
too.
You,
Thanks a lot.
Let's do it again.
You got it, man. We'll see y'all.
Absolutely. Danny West from Hogs Sports and 247sports.com. So we had a lot of fun last Friday at Knockouts, haircuts for men in Fort Smith.
Heck yeah, we did.
I neglected to get my 2 hairs cut. I'm thinking, though, SmackDown, about doing a horseshoe mustache like Hulk Hogan.
I would look good.
Maybe they could have helped me with that at Knockouts.
They probably could have, and they can take care of a lot of all your other needs. They can get you a haircut. They can make you look nice and bright for Father's Day weekend if you need to get down there. But I think, Phil, the best part, you get you a cold beer while you're getting your haircut down there.
Yummy. And you've got a selection of like 6 different beers.
It's not just one trick wonder. No, they got several beers down there, and they're waiting for you down at Knockouts. And, Phil, I think I need to head over there here pretty quick and get this floof taken care of.
A little floof up there that's called a cowlick.
Yeah.
You got a little cowlick. You got to get a cat to lick that off the top of your head. We will wrap up the show with halftime homework next.